I'm here to talk to you guys about sexually transmitted infections. My name is Brooke. We're just going to go over like the basic things of it. So starting with what is an STI. So an STI is a sexually transmitted infection, and so basically that can happen once you become sexually active, and it's a bacteria, virus, or parasite that lives and grows in your body. Some can be treated, some cannot. We're just going to kind of go into some details about that. So what does STI stand for? We already kind of talked about that, sexually transmitted infection. A lot of times people also use the term STD, which is a sexually transmitted disease. So if you hear either one of those terms, they basically mean the same thing, but they're interchangeable. So we're going to talk about some statistics. So STIs among teenagers and young adults. So young people between the ages of 15 to 24 account for 50% of all new STDs. So that's a pretty high number, and that's why we're kind of wanting to target high school students all the way up through college, because that's where most of these statistics are coming from. And that's kind of the time where you do need to sort of have this talk with your parent or guardian or some kind of adult, teacher, whatever. So that's kind of what I'm here to do. Basically, we just want to get these numbers a little bit lower, and we're hoping through sexual education we can do that. 46% of American high school students have had sexual intercourse and potentially are at risk. So that's a pretty high number, like I said, which is why we're kind of targeting this age. So some more statistics. In 2012, gonorrhea rates were highest among adolescents and young adults. The annual of new infections is roughly 51% among women and 49% among men. So although it's not 50-50, it's pretty close, half and half, which is why we're kind of just targeting everyone and not focusing on a certain gender or anything like that. And then 1 in 4 teens contract a sexually transmitted disease every year. So if you kind of think about how many friends you have and class size and stuff, 1 in 4 is a pretty high number, and we're definitely working on trying to lower that, because 1 in 4 is a lot, and that can be easily lowered through sexual education, just kind of learning about preventative ways and things like that. So the cost of STIs to the U.S. healthcare system is approximately $16 billion annually, which is definitely a huge number. And like I said before, if we can lower the amount of STDs and STIs, then we can also lower that number, because we won't be spending as much on treatments and healthcare and things like that. So we're going to talk about some of the common STIs. So there's HPV, chlamydia, gonorrhea, herpes, syphilis, HIV, AIDS, things like that. And so those are just some of them, and they all have different symptoms. So some common symptoms are painful urination, vaginal discharge, pain during sexual intercourse, bleeding in women, testicular pain, itching, and swelling. So one thing that I definitely want to target is that not all STIs will give you symptoms at all. Some might not be right away. And so it's super important that once you do become sexually active, that you do need to be having regular checkups and trying to prevent these, because you might not always have symptoms, and it's always best to catch these things early on, because a lot of them can be treated, and a lot of the treatments are more effective if it is caught early on. So who is at risk? Anyone who is sexually active is at risk for STDs. So that doesn't always mean intercourse. Any kind of sexual contact is what can transmit an STD. So it's super important that you know that it can be not just through intercourse. And then, so we're going to talk about some of the different symptoms for some of the different STIs, and how some of the symptoms can be different in men versus women, and depending on the STI. So the first thing is HPV. So genital warts, anal bleeding, pain, itching, or discharge, swollen lymph nodes in the anal or groin area. So that's for women. So those are some of the symptoms that you may see. For men, it's about the same thing: genital warts, bleeding, discharge, swollen lymphs. Men also can have change in color, skin thickening, and buildup of tissue. So that's one difference between the men and women symptoms, and that's for HPV. So now we're going to talk about chlamydia. Some symptoms can be abnormal vaginal discharge, burning when urinating, and I'd like to point out that in this picture it says 7 of 10 people who get chlamydia have no symptoms. So like I said earlier, you do not always see the symptoms, which is why it's super important that you're going to either your family doctor or Planned Parenthood or whatever access you have to healthcare, it's really important that you are getting these checkups once you become sexually active, because you may have something and you could not even know it. And some symptoms of chlamydia in men is a discharge from the penis, a burning sensation when urinating, and pain or swelling in one or both testicles. So again, different symptoms for men and women. We're going to skip through some of these. So gonorrhea in women is basically kind of the same as before, burning, discharge, bleeding between periods, and then for men, burning, discharge, and painful or swelling. So as you can see, there's like some trends in all of these symptoms, and most of them usually have some type of burning or swelling or discharge and things like that. And so you kind of will have an idea if you are having any of these symptoms that something could be potentially wrong. So we're going to talk about genital herpes. So pain or itching of the genitals, small red bumps, ulcers, painful urination, swollen lymph nodes, headaches, muscle aches, fever. So again, basically the same, except for here we have some more like internal body symptoms rather than just genital regions. So this includes like the headaches, muscle aches, fever. So a little different for that one. And then same with syphilis, it also has like not so much of the genital symptoms, but it also has other symptoms that you could maybe mistake for something else. So it's important that you know that you can have rashes on your hands and feet, which really have nothing to do with like the sexual like parts of you. So it's important to know that fevers, sore throats, headaches, muscle aches, weight loss, hair loss, all that can be associated with syphilis. So definitely take note of that. And then symptoms of acute HIV. So acute means that it was brought later on in life. You know, you weren't really born with it. It's kind of like you get that later, and that includes fever, headache, muscle aches, sore throats, lymph nodes. So again, also things that don't affect your genital region. So it's really important that you know that different symptoms of STIs might not always include those things. And then there's chronic HIV, so basically that could be something you were born with or something you've had for a really long time. Chronic just means that it's over a long period of time, basically. And so persistent swelling of the lymph nodes. So once again, that's also something that doesn't have to do with any of your genital regions. It's more of a like inner body through your different systems and your lymph nodes and things like that. Some early symptomatics of HIV, so fever, fatigue, diarrhea, weight loss, yeast infections, shingles. Again, a lot of these, again, do not involve your genital regions and can be mistaken for something else. So next we're going to do an activity with whiteboards, and we're kind of just going to use that to learn more about these STIs and kind of just, we really want to like drill the different symptoms and stuff into your head. So yeah, that's what we're going to do next.